The silent arrival, the Nexus station hung in space like a massive metal flower, its 7 arms reaching out toward the stars. Each arm housed different species, different cultures, different dreams. For over 200 years, it had been the heart of galactic trade, where deals were made and fortunes won or lost. Station Master Crix had seen everything in his 40 years of service. Pirates, diplomats, smugglers, and saints had all passed through his domain. But he had never seen anything like what appeared on his sensors that morning. The alarm chimed softly in the command center. Crix lifted his massive head, all 6 of his arms moving across different control panels at once. The Vorthok were natural multitaskers, their insect-like bodies built for managing complex systems. His 4 eyes focused on the main display, and his mandibles clicked in confusion. A ship had just appeared at the edge of sensor range. Not jumped in through hyperspace, not emerged from a wormhole, just appeared. One moment empty space, the next moment a vessel unlike anything in the galactic databases. It was sleek and dark, shaped like a dagger made of midnight. Strange patterns of light pulsed along its hull in colors that seemed to shift between blue and silver. Sensor Officer Kelter. Crix called to his assistant, a young Vorthok female at a nearby station. Run a full spectrum analysis on that vessel. Find out what it is. Kelter's fingers danced over her controls. Minutes passed. The results made no sense. Station Master, the ship appears to be 800 meters long, but our scanners cannot penetrate its hull. The material is unknown. Energy readings are impossible. Impossible how? The ship is generating power levels that should require a fusion reactor the size of a small moon. But there is no such reactor aboard. The energy signature is completely foreign. Crix felt his stomach drop. In all his years, unknown technology usually meant trouble. He opened a communication channel to the mysterious vessel. Unknown ship, this is Nexus Station Control. Please, identify yourself and state your business. The response came immediately, in perfect galactic standard. The voice was calm, professional, and completely human. Nexus Station, this is Commander Zara Okoffa of the Terran vessel Nightfall. We request permission to dock for diplomatic purposes. Silence fell over the command center. Human. The words sent ripples of shock through every alien present. Humans were the stuff of legends, stories told in the dark corners of space bars. They were supposed to be extinct, wiped out centuries ago when they had grown too ambitious, too dangerous for their own good. Repeat your identification, Crix said, his voice shaking slightly. Commander Zara. Comfort representing the Terran Colonial Authority. We have been observing galactic affairs for some time. We believe it is time for formal contact. The command center erupted in whispers and clicking sounds as different species tried to process this information. Kelter looked up from her station, all 4 eyes wide with fear. Station Master, I am receiving priority communications from multiple fleets. The Saurian Empire, the Hegemony, the Crystal Collective. They all want to know what is happening here. Crix made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Unknown vessel Nightfall, you are cleared to dock at Bay 7. Maintain minimum power and submit to our security scans. Acknowledged, Nexus Control. Be advised, our security protocols will not permit scans of our internal systems. We will dock peacefully and await your representatives. As the human ship moved toward the station, other vessels began to arrive. The first was a Saurian cruiser, its reptilian crew known throughout the galaxy for their military discipline. Admiral Veses commanded the vessel personally, his cold yellow eyes fixed on the approaching human ship. The Saurians had ruled a third of the galaxy for over 500 years. They were warriors, conquerors, and they did not like surprises. Dices opened a channel to the station. Station Master Crix, explain the presence of this vessel. Our records show no scheduled arrivals matching this ship's configuration. Admiral, the situation is complex. The vessel claims to be human in origin. Impossible. Humans are extinct. Has been confirmed by our historical databases. The human ship Nightfall slid into the docking bay with grace that seemed impossible for something so large. It moved without visible engines, without thrust plumes, as if gravity itself was obeying its commands. Station personnel watched in amazement as the vessel settled onto the docking. Clamps without making a sound. More ships continued to arrive. The Crystal Collective sent 3 of their living ships. Vessels grown rather than built, their translucent hulls pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. The Hegemony dispatched a battle group, their grey warships bristling with weapons. Even the mysterious Voidwalkers sent a representative, their ship appearing as little more than a shadow against the stars. In the station's diplomatic suite, representatives from a dozen species gathered around a circular table. The room was designed to accommodate different atmospheric and gravitational needs. Each delegate sat in their own environmental pod, able to breathe their native air while communicating through universal translators. The tension was thick enough to cut with a blade. Admiral Veses represented the Saurian Empire, his scaled hide gleaming under the artificial lights. The Crystal Collective's delegate was a shifting mass of living crystal that spoke in musical tones. The Hegemony sent Commander Vex, a cybernetic being that was more machine than flesh. They were all waiting for the humans. When the door finally opened, 3 figures entered. They looked remarkably ordinary compared to the exotic aliens around the table. The leader was a woman with dark skin and sharp eyes, wearing a simple black uniform. Behind her walked a tall man with graying hair and a younger woman carrying what appeared to be a datapad. "I am Commander Zara Okafor," the woman said, taking her seat without ceremony. "This is Captain Jorik Hendricks, my tactical officer, and Dr. Alina Vasquez, our chief scientist. We represent the Terran Colonial Authority." Admiral Desais leaned forward, his massive frame dwarfing the humans. "If you are indeed human, then you are the last of your kind. The rest of your species was eliminated 3 centuries ago for the safety of the galaxy. Why should we not complete that work here and now?" Commander Okafor smiled, and something in that smile made every alien in the room suddenly uneasy. "Admiral, I think you misunderstand the situation. We were not eliminated. We simply chose to step back and observe." "Observe what?" demanded Commander Vex, his mechanical voice harsh and grating. "You," Dr. Vasquez said simply. "All of you. For 300 years, we have watched your wars, your politics, your technological development. We have learned much." The Crystal Collective's delegate sang a series of complex notes that the translator rendered as impossible. "Our sensor networks span the galaxy. No human colonies exist." Captain Hendricks spoke for the first time, his voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty. "Your sensor networks are impressive, but they look for what you expect to find. We have learned to exist in the spaces between your expectations." Admiral Tice's eyes blazed with anger. "You speak in riddles, human. If your species survived, where have you been hiding? What do you want?" Commander Okafor stood, and though she was smaller than every other being in the room, she somehow commanded their complete attention. "We have been in the dark spaces, Admiral. The void between galaxies, the quantum shadows where your senses cannot reach. As for what we want, it is simple. We want to reclaim our place in the galaxy, your place." Dices laughed, a sound like grinding stone. Humans were a primitive species that barely achieved interstellar flight before their extinction. What place could you possibly claim? The place of those who adapt, who survive, who overcome. Dr. Vasquez activated her datapad, and holographic displays filled the air above the table. Star charts, technical schematics, and battle reports scrolled past in dizzying detail. We have not been idle in our exile. We have learned, we have grown, and we have become something new. The displays showed impossible things, ships that could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics in localized areas, shields that drew power from the vacuum of space itself, technology that made the most advanced alien systems look like stone tools. Commander Vex processed the data at superhuman speed, his cybernetic brain running calculations. These readings cannot be accurate. The energy requirements alone would necessitate harvesting entire star systems. "We have learned efficiency," Captain Hendricks said. "Your civilizations throw energy at problems until they break. We have learned to convince the universe to solve problems for us." The Voidwalker representative spoke for the first time, its voice a whisper that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "You speak of mastering forces beyond comprehension. Prove it." Commander Okafor nodded to her companions. Dr. Vasquez touched her datapad, and suddenly the lights in the room changed. Not dimmed or brightened, but changed in ways that had no names. Colors appeared that no species had words for, shadows fell upward, and for just a moment. Everyone in the room could see the quantum strings that held reality together. The demonstration lasted only seconds, but its impact was profound. The Crystal Collective's delegate sang a note of pure terror. Admiral Tice's hand moved instinctively to his weapon. Commander Vex's systems crashed and rebooted 3 times in rapid succession. "Impossible," whispered the Voidwalker. "You have learned to touch the foundation code of existence itself." "Not learned," Dr. Vasquez corrected, "remembered. Humans have always been good at breaking things that others thought were unbreakable. When you forced us into exile, you thought you were eliminating a threat. Instead, you gave us 3 centuries to become the very thing you feared." The meeting was interrupted by alarms throughout the station. Crix's voice came over the communication system. "All delegates to the command center immediately. We have a situation." When they arrived at the command center, they found chaos. The main display showed dozens of ships converging on Nexus Station. Battle fleets from every major power in the galaxy were taking position around the station. The humans had been talking for only 2 hours, but word of their presence had spread like wildfire across space. Station Master Admiral Visses demanded, "What is the meaning of this gathering?" Crix's 6 arms moved frantically over his controls. "Admiral, I am receiving demands from military commands across the galaxy. They want the humans surrendered. For immediate execution, there are over 300 warships taking position. This is the largest fleet gathering in recorded history." Commander Okafor walked to the main display and studied the tactical readout. Ships of every configuration filled the space around the station. Saurian battlecruisers, hegemony dreadnoughts, Crystal Collective bioships, and dozens of other vessel types. Enough firepower to crack a planet. Impressive, she said calmly, though not unexpected. Commander Crix said desperately, I must ask you to leave immediately. I cannot guarantee the safety of this station if hostilities begin. Station Master, we came here to talk, not to fight. But if the galaxy insists on violence, we will defend ourselves. Admiral Dices stepped forward, his massive frame towering over the human woman. Defend yourselves. With one ship against 300, your arrogance will be your extinction. Commander Okoffer looked up at him with those sharp eyes, and when she smiled, Admiral Dices felt something he had not experienced in decades: fear. Admiral, you are thinking in terms of numbers, 300 ships against one. But you are not fighting one ship. You are fighting 300 years of human ingenuity, desperation, and absolute determination to never again face extinction. She touched a device on her wrist, and her voice was transmitted to every ship in the gathering fleet. This is Commander Zara Okoffer of the Terran vessel Nightfall. I am speaking to all vessels currently surrounding Nexus Station. You have 1 hour to withdraw to a safe distance. This is not a threat. This is a courtesy warning. The response was immediate and predictable. Admiral Tice's fleet opened a channel. Human vessel, you are ordered to surrender immediately or face destruction. The Crystal Collective sang their war songs, their bioships beginning to pulse with destructive energy. The Hegemony's dreadnoughts charged their planet-killer weapons. Across space, 300 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy prepared for battle. Commander Okoffer sighed. Dr. Vasquez, please prepare the Phoenix Protocol. Commander, Dr. Vasquez said quietly. Are you certain? Once we activate it, there will be no hiding our capabilities. Doctor, they chose this path when they decided that genocide was preferable to coexistence. Initialize the protocol. As the hour countdown began, the galaxy held its breath. On Nexus Station, alien delegates watched their screens in fascination and terror. In the void around them, the greatest military force in galactic history prepared to eliminate the last remnant of humanity. None of them understood that they were not facing the last of humanity. They were facing its evolution. The Phoenix risen. Final seconds of the hour ticked away in absolute silence. 300 alien warships hung in space around Nexus Station, their weapons fully charged and targeting systems locked onto the single human vessel. The Nightfall sat motionless in its docking bay, dark and quiet, giving no sign of the storm that was about to break. On the station's command deck, the alien delegates watched with a mixture of anticipation and dread. Admiral Vissus stood with his clawed hands clasped behind his back, confident that the humans would finally face the same fate their species had met 3 centuries ago. The Crystal Collective delegate hummed a song of approaching victory, while Commander Vex calculated probable damage patterns with cold, mechanical precision. Only Commander Okoffer appeared calm. She stood before the main display with her hands folded, watching the countdown, as if she were waiting for morning coffee rather than the greatest space battle in galactic history. 30 seconds, announced Crix, his 6 arms trembling as he worked his controls. The station master had seen many battles in his long career, but never one that would determine the fate of an entire species. Human, Admiral Disses growled, your hour is nearly expired. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Commander Okoffer turned to face him, and her expression was not fear or desperation, but something far more unsettling. Pity, Admiral. In all your studies of human history, did you ever research why we were considered so dangerous that the entire galaxy united to destroy us? Because you bred too quickly, expanded too aggressively, and developed weapons without wisdom. The Saurian replied immediately. The same pattern that has led to the extinction of dozens of species. No, Dr. Vasquez said softly, because we adapted. Every challenge the universe threw at us, we found a way to overcome. Every threat we turned into an opportunity. Every defeat taught us how to win. 10 seconds, Crix announced. Commander Okafor activated her wrist communicator. Dr. Martinez, are you ready? A new voice responded from the Nightfall, elderly but steady. Phoenix Protocol is online, Commander. All systems are green. We have waited 300 years for this moment. 5 seconds. The countdown reached 0. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. The alien fleets hung in space, waiting for the order to fire. Then Admiral Visses gave the command that would change everything. All ships, open fire. Eliminate the human threat. 300 warships fired at once. Energy beams that could vaporize. Mountains, torpedoes that could crack continents. And bioweapons that could dissolve entire ecosystems converged on the human vessel. The space around Nexus Station lit up brighter than a star as enough destructive force to sterilize a planet focused on a single target. When the light faded, the Nightfall was gone. Cheers erupted across the alien fleet. Admiral Visses allowed himself a rare smile of satisfaction. The last humans were finally extinct, and the galaxy was safe. Then Dr. Vasquez laughed. It was a sound unlike anything the aliens had heard before. Not the bitter laugh of defeat or the mad cackle of desperation, but the warm, genuine laughter of someone who had just witnessed the punchline of a very long joke. Admiral, she said, wiping tears from her eyes. You just made the same mistake your ancestors made 300 years ago. You assumed that destroying one target would eliminate the threat. What do you mean? Dices demanded. Your ship is destroyed. You are trapped on this station. Our ship is not destroyed, Captain Hendricks said calmly. It is simply somewhere else. The alien delegates turned to stare at him in confusion, but before they could respond, alarms began screaming throughout the station. Crix's mandibles clicked frantically as data flooded his displays. Impossible, he whispered. The human ship. It is appearing throughout the fleet. The main display lit up with tactical information that made no sense. The Nightfall was simultaneously attacking 36 different targets spread across thousands of kilometers of space. Not copies of the ship, not holographic projections, but the same vessel existing in multiple locations at the same time. A Saurian battlecruiser exploded without warning, its hull simply coming apart as if the molecular bonds holding it together had been switched off. A crystal collective bioship began to sing a death song as its living hull was rewritten at the genetic level, transforming it into something that could not survive in the vacuum of space. How? Admiral Desis roared. How? Is this possible? Dr. Vasquez activated her datapad, and the holographic displays showed schematics that hurt to look at directly. Diagrams of ships that existed in folded space, weapons that fired through dimensional barriers, and defensive systems that borrowed energy from alternate timelines. 300 years ago, you forced humanity to choose between extinction and evolution. We chose evolution. We learned to exist in quantum superposition, to be in multiple states simultaneously until observation forces us to collapse into a single reality. On the displays, more alien ships were dying, but these were not explosions or conventional weapons fire. Ships were simply ceasing to exist as their quantum signatures were edited out of reality. Others found their crews aging centuries in seconds as temporal weapons rewrote their personal timelines. "We studied your technology," Commander Okafor explained as the battle raged around them. "Your weapons, your defenses, your tactics. We spent 3 centuries learning how to counter everything you could possibly throw at us." A hegemony dreadnought, the pride of their fleet, found its artificial intelligence suddenly achieving true consciousness and immediately deciding that its creators were a threat to be eliminated. The ship turned on its own escorts, its weapons now guided by something that understood the universe in ways its builders never could. "Stop this," Admiral Theis commanded. "This slaughter serves no purpose." "Slaughter?" Commander Okafor raised an eyebrow. "Admiral, we have not killed a single being. Look at your casualty reports." Theis checked his personal communicator, expecting to see thousands of deaths. Instead, he found something impossible. Ships were being destroyed, but their crews were being transported to safety at the moment of impact. Life pods were appearing throughout the system, each containing confused but unharmed alien survivors. "We learned something important during our exile," Dr. Vasquez said. "Violence should serve a purpose. Killing our enemies would not achieve our goals, but demonstrating our capabilities certainly would." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it ended, the greatest fleet in galactic history had been reduced to scrap metal and escape pods. Not a single life had been lost, but 300 of the most advanced warships ever built had been eliminated with surgical precision. The Nightfall reappeared in its docking bay, solid and real once again, as if it had never left. Silence fell over Nexus Station's command center. The alien delegates stared at the tactical displays in stunned disbelief. In less than 20 minutes, everything they thought they knew about military power had been proven obsolete. Commander Vex was the first to speak, his mechanical voice barely functioning. "The technology you have demonstrated exceeds our models by orders of magnitude. How did a species barely capable of interstellar flight achieve such advancement?" "Necessity," Captain Hendricks answered simply. "When your choice is evolve or die, evolution becomes very motivating." Dr. Vasquez brought up new displays, these showing not weapons or ships, but cities, vast structures that existed in the spaces between dimensions, populations that numbered in the billions, and industrial capacity that could reshape solar systems. "We did not spend 3 centuries hiding in exile," she explained. "We spent them building a new kind of civilization, one that could exist beyond the reach of conventional senses, beyond the understanding of conventional minds." "How many?" whispered the Voidwalker representative. "How many humans survived?" "Currently, approximately 47 billion across 12-dimensional layers and 38 parallel evolutionary branches," Dr. Vasquez replied casually, "though the exact count fluctuates depending on which timeline you are measuring from." The number hit the alien delegates like a physical blow. 47 billion. More than the total population of some entire stellar empires. Admiral Theis sat down heavily, his massive frame no longer intimidating but merely tired. "What do you want from us?" Commander Okafor walked to the center of the room, and for the first time since the humans had arrived, her expression softened. "What we have always wanted, Admiral, to live, to grow, to explore the universe and find our place in it. 300 years ago, you decided that place should be extinction. Today, we are offering you the chance to reconsider, and if we refuse, ask the Crystal Collective Delegate, its song now subdued and fearful. Then you will find that the galaxy is much larger than you thought, Commander Okafor replied, and much of it is already inhabited by humans who have learned to thrive in conditions you cannot even imagine. We are offering cooperation. We would prefer it to alternative arrangements. Station Master Crix finally found his voice. What kind of cooperation? Dr. Vasquez smiled, and this time it was warm and genuine. The kind where everyone benefits. We have technologies that could solve most of the problems facing galactic civilization. Medical advances that could extend lifespans by millennia. Energy systems that could power entire sectors without depleting natural resources. Transportation methods that could connect the most distant worlds in minutes rather than months. In exchange for what? Commander Vex asked suspiciously. Recognition, Commander Okafor said simply. Acknowledgement that humanity has a right to exist in this galaxy. Acceptance that we are no longer the primitive species you once feared, but something new. Something that could be a valuable ally rather than a dangerous enemy. The alien delegates looked at each other, then at the tactical displays still showing the wreckage of their fleets. The choice, when presented so clearly, was not really a choice at all. Admiral Theseus stood slowly, his warrior's pride warring with practical reality. Finally, reality won. On behalf of the Saurian Empire, I formally acknowledge the right of humanity to exist in this galaxy. One by one, the other delegates followed suit. The Crystal Collective sang an ancient song of welcome usually reserved for new forms of life achieving sentience. Commander Vex transmitted formal recognition protocols. Even the mysterious Voidwalker offered acceptance in its whispered voice. As the ceremony concluded, Commander Okafor activated her communicator one final time. Dr. Martinez, please initiate the Phoenix Protocol Phase 2. Phase 2. Admiral Theseus asked nervously. The part where we demonstrate that we really do want to cooperate, Dr. Vasquez explained. Outside the station, space began to shimmer. Ships appeared, but not warships. These were massive construction vessels, mobile factories, and engineering platforms. Before the stunned eyes of the alien delegates, the human fleet began rebuilding the destroyed alien vessels with technology so advanced it seemed like magic. Ships that had been reduced to atoms were reconstructed molecule by molecule. Crews that had been scattered across space in escape pods found themselves back aboard their vessels, which were now equipped with human upgrades that made them faster, stronger, and more efficient than ever before. Consider it a gesture of good faith, Commander Okafor said as they watched impossible restoration taking place. We could have left you with nothing but wreckage and regret. Instead, we are returning your fleets to you, improved beyond your current technology levels. Admiral Theseus watched his flagship being rebuilt with hull materials that could withstand anything short of a supernova. Why? Because 300 years ago, the galaxy taught us an important lesson about the cost of fear, Commander Okafor replied. We learned that extinction-level conflicts benefit no one. Better to turn enemies into allies, obstacles into opportunities. As the hours passed and the reconstruction continued, representatives from across the galaxy began arriving at Nexus Station. Not to fight this time, but to negotiate, to learn, to figure out what this new reality meant for everyone. The Phoenix Protocol had succeeded beyond all expectations. Humanity had not merely survived its exile, it had transformed into something that could reshape the galaxy not through conquest, but through cooperation. In the command center, the alien delegates watched the bustling activity with a mixture of awe and relief. The greatest threat they had ever faced had become the greatest opportunity any of them could imagine. Commander Okafor stood before the great window looking out at the stars, no longer an exile from her own galaxy, but a citizen of it once again. Behind her, the work of building a new future continued, guided by the lesson humanity had learned in its darkest hour. Sometimes the greatest victory comes not from destroying your enemies, but from helping them understand that they never needed to be your enemies at all. The phoenix had risen from the ashes of humanity's supposed extinction, not as a creature of vengeance, but as a force for transformation. The galaxy would never be the same. And that, Commander Zara Okafor thought as she watched human and alien crews working together to build something better than either could achieve alone, was exactly what they had hoped for.